Hi, this is Dr. Kirk Megu, TV and podcast host and former university lecturer. As a political analyst, a former university lecturer, a public intellectual, one of the things I pride myself on is an encyclopedic knowledge, knowing facts, being very reliable, having data at hand always, and extensive data, and people being able to count on what I say as truth, and then me building arguments, sometimes even controversial ones, but based on solid facts, and so that even when I do make sometimes controversial arguments, it is because it is based on solid ground. Now, I told you that for the last local government elections, I was actually making a case for the opposition party. And after the elections, I was doing some analysis, and I put out a post criticizing the Elections and Boundaries Commission for the relative sizes of the different seats, and pointing it out as being something unfair, some statistical analysis I was doing. But and that post went viral. I was glad it went viral. It was, I think, my posts on that were approaching 100,000 views. It's all organic, nothing paid, so it was really making waves. But I later realized that my criticism was misplaced, and the analysis I was making did not actually make sense when I looked into it. It was a common error that many people make, but I shouldn't have made it. I really shouldn't have. It was a blind spot I had in an area that I hadn't really focused on too much, and so I had made some assumptions that everybody else makes, and I felt bad that I had to it wasn't fake news, but it was certainly a false alarm. It was a false alarm. What is alarming about it, though, is that it's so arcane, nonsensical, and that's how the system is. That for any for any outsider, logically viewing it, they would have seen the situation as being absurd, right? And that's how I was looking at it, but I should not have. So I wasn't sure what I should do. Should I just let it go and move on to another topic and hope people would forget that, or admit my mistake? And then how would I do so? Well, I did admit my mistake. I corrected it, and I did find things in my analysis when I started to re-look at it and understand why the system is so irrational, because it is irrational. But there's a reason for the irrationality, and there are things there are measures and structures that take it into account, that take that irrationality into account. But anyways, when I did look at it from that fuller perspective, I did find things that should have been and have not been noticed, should have been noticed, and should be brought to people's attention. So I did that, and thankfully one person did call me out in it, and I took the beating as I should, because I should have known it, and I corrected that blind spot, right? So anyway, so I did that, and that post has actually been doing very well, right? Because I did bring up some other issues that really need to be taken seriously, and that people should look at, that they have not been looking at least not in a very detailed way as I've done it. So that was great. Minimal damage, and it's very important for you to always keep your credibility, if that's what you're trading on. If you're trading on your expert status, if you're trading on your credibility, and unfortunately, mistakes are going to be made. So you had really better learn to own up to it rather than try to hide it. I was given an email today. I was sent an email by academia.edu from the world's leading expert on referendums. Studied at Oxford. He's at Coventry University. He probably worked in Trinidad, I suspect, because he wrote an article on the Trinidad general elections of 2010, and it is so full of errors, wrong interpretations, false citations to websites that don't exist, and even if it did exist, it would be far less than authoritative websites that ones he should have used. It was a lazy paper. The editors are lazy for accepting it. He was lazy in writing it. Very many assumptions that should not have been made, and and this man, is regarded as a world expert. So authority in the world is very is a very touchy subject. It's not all, who people purport to be authorities are not always true authorities of knowledge. But in any case, if you want to be a public intellectual and build your authority and retain it, I really do hope that you approach it with integrity, because this person obviously, does not have integrity. He would never have released it, that piece like that, and the editor should not have allowed it through. But that's the state of it, And sometimes when they speak about countries like ours, which are small and don't necessarily have a large amount of interest in, they will let these facts go. They will not double check it, either because they don't think it's important or they trust these authorities, and that's terrible. So that person did not act in a way full of integrity, with the integrity he should have, and I do try to, and I would urge you to, and that will help in building your profile, your following, your trustworthiness as a public intellectual, either as a podcaster or as a media personality. Right? So you can check out my podcasting course. I'm not sure I'm going to release it in November anymore. I might do it in January after Christmas. And my media training, which I do continuously anyways, the coaching. So you can check that out, and I will talk to you later. Bye.